So during the duration of my 9-month pregnancy, my baby's anticipated due date was on April 7th. But for some reason, my water wound up breaking a week earlier. So I let my doctor know, and he said, hey, it's time to go to the hospital. So I called my husband, who was at work at the time, and I let him know. And he said, really now? And I said, yep, I'm getting ready to leave. Contractions have started. So I arrived at the hospital, and I came to find out that I was only 1 centimeter dilated. And I was leaking amniotic fluid very slowly, and I was in for a 22-hour labor, which was super laborious for me because labor started at 4 in the afternoon and went throughout the entire night and the next morning, which was just frustrating because I was ready to give birth. It was time. Is there something you wanted to add? Oh, right, yeah. So let me see here. You called me while I was at work. And I was a little skeptical because a few weeks ago you had been having Braxton Hicks frequently. And so I just needed a little confirmation, but you said, no, it's time, it's happening. And the doctor let me know that, it wasn't a dire emergency or anything. I had about an hour to go home and then get to the hospital, which was nice that I didn't have to rush. And at first I was a little skeptical, but after she let me know, yep, no, it's really happening. Um, I hung up the phone and I let my coworkers know. And they said, really, are you sure? And I said, yeah, it's happening. So I left work and I went home. And mostly everything was already packed and put together, so I just had a few things to grab before heading to the hospital. That's all I wanted to say. Right, so at that point, I needed all of that amniotic fluid to come out before the baby could come. So they had to give me some Pitocin to help further my dilation because they couldn't give me an epidural because that was going to hinder my labor. And my cervix was still only at 1 centimeter and it stayed that way for 10 hours. And so they administered that Pitocin. And finally, I got to 4 centimeters. But after the doctor gave me an exam, he saw that I was still only at 4 centimeters, which wasn't far enough to give me an epidural, and I needed to be at 6. So finally, after a lot of hard work, I finally got to 6 centimeters, and they gave me that epidural. And as soon as I hit 10 centimeters, that baby was ready. But, I had decided that I didn't want to get an episiotomy or a cesarean section. I was very adamant about that, and I even let the interpreter know that that was what I wanted for myself because I knew that as soon as everything started, I wasn't going to be in the right state of mind. And so, because my body was going to be full of drugs and I was going to be exhausted. And so I just wanted the interpreter to know that I had considered my options. So finally, even after being 10 centimeters, my pelvis actually wound up being too narrow. And so they recommended that I get an episiotomy anyways. But I really just wanted to see if I could get through my pregnancy in a natural capacity. But after it became evident that that wasn't going to work, they gave me the episiotomy and the baby came right away. And it was a very precious moment because my baby wound up having red hair just like me, and that was really special. And that experience for me was incredibly wonderful. And now I have a beautiful baby boy.
Do you think